At a press conference held at the national headquarters of the People's Democratic Party in Abuja, the presidential candidate of the party, Atiku Abubakar, voiced his rejection of the presidential election petitions tribunal, ruling that upheld Bola Tinubu's victory in the February 23 election. Have a look.
While the court on Wednesday threw out Atiku's petitions, that of his Labour Party counterpart Peter Obi and the Allied People's Movement (APM), Atiku of the main opposition party says he is undeterred and has instructed his lawyers to appeal the verdict.
I take great pains to tell you that the decision of the court of first instance on this matter utterly fails far short of expectation. I am therefore here to tell you that though the judgment of the court yesterday is respected, it is a judgment that I refuse to accept. I refuse to accept the judgment because I believe that it is bereft of substantial justice. Consequently, I have asked my lawyers to activate my constitutionally guaranteed rights of appeal to the higher court, which in the East is the Supreme Court of Nigeria. It is my conviction that the electoral process in Nigeria should be devoid of untidy manipulations and that the outcome of every election should be a perfect reflection of the wishes of the electorate.
While he is not sure if he will prevail, he says it forms part of his commitment towards ensuring credible elections for future generations to come.
Whether I prevail in this quest or not, the record of my effort in ensuring an order of credible elections in Nigeria shall remain for the future generations to emulate.
His party had earlier rejected the tribunal's verdict, saying it would consult its lawyers for the next course of action.
We have resolved, despite every obstacle, to continue and seek redress where we were expecting we will give them opportunity to give us a policy direction from the Apex Court. This will determine the future of this country. Secondly, I want to assure you we will immediately reform the election management framework of our party in order to be ready and equipped so that we will face the challenges ahead. We want to start immediately with the coming elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa.
The court had dismissed Atiku's petitions on Wednesday, including those of Peter Obi from the Labour Party and the Allied People's Movement, for various reasons including failure to prove their case, among others. Sahir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Also, the Labour Party's presidential election in the February 20th general election, Peter Obi has instructed his legal team to immediately challenge the decision of the 5-member presidential election petitions court led by Justice Simon Haruna Samani. Obi made this announcement during a press conference held in Onitsha, Anambra State on Thursday in response to the rulings of the tribunal. He expressed his appreciation for the court's contribution to due process and its effort to strengthen democracy, but disagreed with the court's rationale and conclusions in its judgment. Have a look.
As petitioners in this case, we respect the views and ruling of the court, but we disagree with the court's reasoning and conclusions in the judgment it delivered. It is my intention as the presidential candidate and intention of Labour Party to challenge this judgment by way of appeal immediately as allowed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The PEPC has rendered its judgment, but that esteemed body is not the final arbiter. The responsibility now falls on the Supreme Court. I do know that the judgment is not conterminous with justice. I implore Nigerians to remain focused, steadfast, and peaceful, and to abide by the rule of law and understand this matter has not reached its logical conclusion.
And joining me on the program tonight to discuss more on the developing issues is Mazi Dixon Regbu. He's an author and a member of the Obedient Movement. Welcome to the program. Mazi.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
I want to start this way. Assuming the election tribunal yesterday said the day was for Atiku, will your principal hold this press conference that we just watched today?
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to talk about or get reactions from what the tribunal did yesterday, which, in my opinion, first of all, is sad. You know, they had
the entirety
yes,
of the process.
They had an opportunity to.
They took 12 hours, 30 minutes.
12 hours plus. Right. In fact, the longest ever that we have had in this country. And that's because clearly, you know, when you want to do the wrong or lie, you rabble-rouse, you go through this and that and all, the bit about the bush. And that's what they did before finally arriving at what they arrived.
The rebel justices, Mazi, well, they deserve some respect.
What respect? Respect is earned. You earn it. If you do what is wrong, it should be called by its name. What they did yesterday is more of, it's a shame. I don't want to use wrong words here, but it's a shame that it came from that level. We expected something that would give the judicial arm of government some sense of some value in Nigeria, because they don't seem to have respect anymore in Nigeria.
Maybe for you, the obedience.
No, but excuse me, do you still have hope in the judicial arm?
I'm a journalist.
Well, okay, fine. So, but on the question you asked,
yes, if he had
gone to Atiku, yeah, well, that would have still been challenged, because by every means, first, let me tell you my view, why I think Alhaji Atiku Abubakar shouldn't have been in this race, wouldn't have been in this mess that we found ourselves today. If he chose the path of honor, the path that was about Nigeria, he wouldn't have been here. Because first, if as the power is in southern Nigeria today, after 8 years, I will be one of those in the forefront to say no southerner should seek for the mandate. Because Nigeria is a nation that exists by southern and northern protectorate. So it was wrong in the first place that after 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari, that another northerner will be positioning to lead Nigeria. For me, that wasn't for the common good of all. That was my view. Since November 2019, I worked for him in 2019. So I did him an open letter.
You think he slighted or set aside the zoning arrangement?
He allowed, as far as his ambition, allowed this trajectory that we have found ourselves, this mess that we found ourselves in.
Ambition beclouded reasoning of sorts.
Well, it's ambition, yeah. Everybody has a right to have ambition. But there's a moment to become a nationalist, a figure that we can rally around and say, okay, it wasn't just all about you, and it shouldn't always be about you, but the nation, the interest of the nation. So it couldn't have gone to Atiku in any way. If it was that the judiciary did what they did and he went to Atiku's side, as you asked, of course it would have been challenged. But there was no way it would have gone to him. There was no way.
Your candidate got 6,101,530.
According to INEC.
Atiku got 6,984,520.
According to INEC.
Yes.
We are querying what INEC announced. We are querying what INEC did on the 25th of February. So what INEC announced, come on, look at all the candidates. Forget who enjoys whatever paraphernalia they enjoy. Each of the first three of them go to different parts, whether market in Kaduna or Kano or mosque in anywhere or church in anywhere or on the street. Let them take a popularity test. Till today, anywhere P2B goes into, the Nigerian people embrace him. They know who they voted for. He was that change that we all saw, that, oh, finally we were about to have some sense of new direction for our country. So I challenge them beyond the case being in court and all of that, because we're going to the Supreme Court. You have heard from my
principal. We have some freedom now between now and the time that the case will be instituted.
Yes, we're going to
we
the
can
Supreme
discuss
Court. We can discuss it.
Okay,
so
now
I'm saying there was no way Atiku could have been announced at the judiciary.
He hasn't, and neither your candidate.
Yes,
but you see, in the consolidation, they announced some of the judgments, their findings together concurrently. Now they say Atiku and Obi, they failed to prove they scored majority of local votes. Don't you think your lawyers misled you?
No.
Have they paraded the figures?
No, please.
Yeah.
While in court, while at the tribunal, our lawyers told the judges that INEC is making it impossible for us to assess the materials that we need to tender in court. First one, we complained. Second one, the third one, they gave order to INEC. And INEC still did not obey all of that. So where did our Lord Justices expect that we will manufacture what they want us to tender?
But I think you claim that you scored the majority because you have your own. You have your own.
Yes, and it was tendered. Now, what they are saying is that what we tendered couldn't have satisfied whatever informed their judgment. And that's their business. That's why we have said, as far as personally I am concerned, this gentleman and lady there, they had an opportunity to give themselves, a standing ovation anywhere they walk into, but they failed. They failed themselves, they failed their profession, they failed the nation, they failed their family, as far as I'm concerned, because by every means, that was a shame, what they read out yesterday.
Okay, I want to paraphrase.
They may have given judgment, yes, but that wasn't justice.
Okay, I want to paraphrase what one of the justices said, Justice Abba Mohammed.
Yes.
He said, in your petition, right, you allege irregularities, suppression of votes, and corrupt practices to rob you of your votes in 18,088 polling units in states like Rivers, Benue, Lagos, Taraba, and Oyo, but failed to specify the polling units affected.
But
you concluded that your claim is non-specific, nebulous, vague, and speculative.
Even reading it out,
does
this look like an impartial arbiter giving judgment? This looks like speaking for, the defendant. What they did yesterday, listening to, I was in court. So I was in court, and I didn't just listen from the radio and all of that. I was in court. What they did yesterday was more like acting as though they were the defense counsel. They did a better job than the defense counsel did. That's what they did yesterday. Reading that thing there, you could see that this is someone who is sounding like very biased and very, parochial.
Honestly, with due apologies to the justices, we can't be able to bring them here.
What you read here now, what you read here, listening to it, it didn't sound like an impartial arbiter. All of us went to court. That is
according to your own estimation.
Going by what they read. I said here that they have read their judgment, but they didn't give justice.
But you see,
they didn't give justice, because if this question they asked, right, was to create room for justice, you ask yourself, did they fall from the moon? Were they not part of this society when the election was conducted? Were they not part of this? Don't they have families? Don't they have community? Didn't they see what happened? Was it not reported in the media? Are they isolated away from what exists in Nigeria?
But
so this is sad to hear from the judges.
They took long time to give reasons and all that. And
the reasons they gave was baseless.
According to you,
baseless.
Now,
and shameful.
Now look at the case of FCT.
Yes,
are you not
25%?
Please, I want you to be very fair. Why should you and me who live
in FCT
be seen as superior to someone who lives in Lagos or in my village in Katsina State, that my votes must be superior to that person? And simply because a candidate did not win in the FCT, that he should be denied.
You see, is it not the Constitution? Well, it's not my opinion or your opinion. The Constitution provided it like that. First, the FCT is not a state, as our Lord just said that the FCT is like a state, like every other state.
But what makes it different?
No, but it's not a state. We don't have a governor. We don't have lawmakers, both at the state level and all of that. We don't have those paraphernalias that makes a state function on its own. So
you are saying no elected officials, but we have local government chairmen.
We have
minister is appointed.
Why won't we have
a serious bill? They take it to the National Assembly.
If FCT were not a special place, why is it called Federal Capital Territory? Why? Why isn't Lagos? Why isn't Kano? Why isn't Onitsha?
So it's the capital of
Anambra. But of course, that's what it is. So it has a special status. Therefore, if you're coming to lead Nigeria, that particular place where we call our common gathering place as a country, that place that we see as our capital, deserves that you earn some level of acceptance. And it's already been given in judgment. When the Obasanjo case came up and all of that, it was clearly that if you can get 25% in the FCT, you're good to go. And here we have it. They didn't get it. And we're saying that, that "and" is now being defined by our Lord Justice.
Yes, you see, we spoke to a revered former Chief Justice.
Yes.
And he said this issue of FCT was actually, started by your vice presidential candidate, Senator Detti. He was the one who posted something somewhere, on social media.
Did he write the Constitution of Nigeria?
No. He posted it.
Yes.
And then your lawyers, even you during campaign, and after the election, you say, okay, let's test the waters. Now, this Chief Justice, former Chief Justice, he said, if you look at it, there is no way that you will say Abuja is superior to other places.
Whether they like it or not, Abuja is superior to every other state in Nigeria. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria does not live elsewhere. The Aso Rock is not housed in the 36 different. So the president will not wake up today in Kano Aso Rock, or wake up tomorrow in Imo Aso Rock, or Sokoto Aso Rock. No, Aso Rock is situated in FCT. Excuse me, you see, we're not daft people. We're not stupid people in this country. If the Constitution didn't give room for us to accord FCT a special status, we won't be discussing it. So, with due respect to the retired judge, my vice presidential candidate did not write the Constitution.
And he interpreted it wrongly.
How so?
Okay, let me use myself as a layman.
Yes.
To ask you a question. Simple one. Now, assuming just as your candidate, he has won in Abuja.
Yeah, okay,
in Abuja, but could not meet up with the other requirements. That is, 25%. Or quarter of the votes of the 37 states of the Federation.
36 states.
36 states.
Yes.
I mean, but he has won in Abuja. What happens?
No.
So he should be given the presidency by virtue of winning in Abuja?
No, that's not what you see, I'm not speaking from my head.
Yeah.
It's not my opinion. The Constitution did not say anything like that. The Constitution is clear. You want to lead Nigeria, isn't it? You must gain acceptability, a certain level of percentage acceptability across the federation.
It says scores 25% or a quarter of the votes,
No, two-third majority across the nation. And, okay, let's imagine this. Dixon Irebu is on Trust TV. And yourself.
Yeah.
Will it mean that is Dixon? I could have focused on just Dixon Irebu when you are here. The "and" here, if we don't include you, it simply means that the sentence cannot, the reportage about our being in this studio will not be complete.
Dixon, because you are being extremely technical.
No, it's not technical. I'm just saying common sense. Is this not our country? Is it because we just want to justify the sham that the tribunal gave yesterday?
Would you apologize to them since they are not here?
I have no apologies because I was disappointed.
Yes.
I am terribly filmed at what they did yesterday. It's annoying. It's a collective shame on our nation. It appears like people watching out there were like, what's going on? Is this the so-called giant of Africa? No wonder there's no respect for Nigeria. No wonder, because sometimes when we tender some of these things, people just wonder, are we not thinking? This This is about the interest of the nation. It shouldn't be about anybody. Look at what America is doing now, for instance. The first former president of the United States of America being tried. That is to establish that no one is above the law. Until we begin to promote that angle of our corporate existence, we've not started building our nation. But it appears like some people seem to be above the law and can get away with it. Look at all the stories. Making excuses, for the vice presidential candidate, the vice president, making an excuse for him, and saying that,
but you see, with
he
all
was
sincerity.
What sincerity? Ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
For the vice president,
that he was ignorant.
Why will you take pre-election matter? I mean, even APM, if not directly you, why will you take a pre-election matter to the tribunal? So that issue was to election tribunal.
If hush puppy, as we are promoting now, that because Nigeria doesn't seem to be running democracy by what we're doing here, it seems to be plutocracy. Plutocracy, government of the rich, by the rich, and for the rich. So if Hush Puppy succeeds with his money and buys over the ticket of a political party and succeeds in becoming a candidate, and then there is a case that he emerges, in the interest of the nation, we should not go to court to say, call our attention to the arm of government that should correct it.
In order not to cause confusion, Mazi, that certain cases must start and end at certain court. That pre-election matters should end at, High Court or whatever.
Well, we're going to the Supreme Court, so we will now go there and get this confirmation that you are.
Will you still now file this case? Because the judges held that the petitioners failed to prove that the allegation of $460,000.
Yes.
That Tinubu was not tried.
That he was not a criminal.
He was not arraigned. Did not take plea, and there was no sentence of imprisonment imposed on him, but had a judgment in remedy. Right? Why are you obsessed with that issue?
Excuse me.
Yes.
It's about the #1 seat in Nigeria. If he was a if he was a private citizen, we won't be discussing it. He's seeking to lead my country. He must come clean, so that we will not allow the president of Nigeria get exposed to unnecessary blackmail here and there. With this, how can you forfeit $460,000 and you say no, that it was nothing?
But why
even 100 naira, before you can make me forfeit my 100 naira, you must give me cogent reason why I should. So we want to know. We want to know why. How did you get this money? What was it for? So and how did you negotiate for this?
Are you now faulting U.S. authorities?
But of course.
They did
their job. No, they did their job. Right? They did their job. Somebody did something wrong within their state, within their country. And the guy went in for plea bargain. We have plea bargain situation here in Nigeria. That is what we want to address.
So you're also faulting plea bargain. It's not the way to go.
No, if you go in for plea bargain, right, it should deny you certain things in the future. Yes, you can get a plea bargain and be excused from being in prison.
But they said courts are not Father Christmas.
I agree.
You have to ask.
We asked.
You have to prove.
We proved.
What did you prove? They said he wasn't tried at all.
What do you mean not tried at all?
Has not been convicted. You can't now ask the judges.
There was an indictment that warranted forfeiture of $460,000.
Have you presented the evidence?
We tendered all that. We tendered all that.
And the judges ignored.
And of course, as ignoble as they chose to be.
Now, finally, you see, Mazi, people have said it severally that since the creation of Nigeria, there was never a time presidential election was cancelled. Are you not wasting resources and then distracting the president from doing his work by insisting on going to the Supreme Court?
If this is our country, then we must all care. Because they say evil thrives when good people do nothing. So if we are interested in democracy, we didn't take to violence. We're not violent people. So what we are doing is to further entrench democracy. If the Supreme Court gives judgment, in the future against this judgment, then we have we have deepened democracy, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going there to deepen democracy. It's provided for in the Constitution. Okay, so we're still within the confines of the law to go seek redress at that level, at the highest level. So by every means, our view is that what was given on the 6th of September was a sham. It was judgment, but not justice.
All right.
And what we are seeking for is justice.
All right. Thank you very much, Mazi Dixon Norego, for coming to the program and for your perspective.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
On this, we have to have you again.
Thank you. No, always.
We're going to have another guest who will also share his own ideas about what happened. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And viewers, we will take a short break. When we return, the program will continue with another guest. Don't go away. After over 12 hours of judgment, the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal sitting at the Court of Appeal in Abuja upheld the victory of President Tinubu and Vice President Shetima of the All Progressive Congress. This development has, however, generated mixed reactions in Nigeria. Take a look at this report as compiled by Trust TV.
In its judgment, the Presidential Elections Petitions Court dismissed the petitions filed by the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Atiku Abubakar, the Labour Party and its candidate Peter Obi, as well as the Allied Progressives Movement APM, on various grounds including failure of the petitioners to prove their case, lack of merit, lack of competence, among others. However, are Nigerians satisfied with the verdict? Experts share their thoughts.
Justice was done by the Presidential Election Petition Court. They took decisions based on point of law and having examined the evidences and the witnesses. Situation whereby witnesses, depose to documents that have been confirmed to be forged or fake, witnesses that are averring to what happened in other states where they were not present, evidences that have not complied with the provisions of the Electoral Act, etc., also put the appellants in a very disadvantaged position.
How I feel about the judgment is actually immaterial to what the entire process is about. Usually, a matter in court is not about what is right or what is wrong or what our feelings are. It is largely based on what can be proven in the court, in the floor of the court. So during the litigation, you could actually see from the way the judge was actually reading out the petitions and why the rulings went the way they went. There were a lot of technicalities in the way the petitioners actually filed their charges, and that's actually sort of where most of the problems actually came in.
Residents of the FCT also had this to say.
We all know nothing will come out different from what has just the result of yesterday. It's something normal. But well, the only thing is, yes, the judgment has been passed. It's just the way forward.
To me, so I don't think I have anything to talk concerning Nigeria issue, because even God himself don't come on for Nigeria matter, so me I'm fed up.
I can't really say yes, I'm satisfied or not, because considering the Nigeria justice system, I see the masses has lost confidence. So either way it goes, as it happened yesterday, we take it.
Well, looking at that judgment, to me, I'm not totally satisfied. But I think there are a lot of grievances generated from that judgment. So what I would just suggest is the aggrieved party should go to the Supreme Court.
With the tribunal judgment, is the legitimacy question hovering around the current administration finally settled?
In my opinion, the issue of legitimacy is not an issue because a president has been sworn in and he's executing with his team. Indeed, the matter has been rested temporarily at the PEPC, and then we are awaiting the outcome of the decision of the Supreme Court. Unless the Supreme Court pronounces otherwise or decides otherwise, we have a legitimate government in play.
Whether the judgment legitimatizes the government in the eyes of the people, that's very subjective and depends on who you are actually talking to. If you're talking to somebody from another camp, they will tell you something otherwise. Whether it is legitimate or not, it doesn't really matter from our own perspective as well. It is largely based on the court. But one thing is for a fact is that a larger population of the voters who voted did not vote for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They voted for the candidacy of Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar combined together. And I do not in any way see this closing the gap that's actually been widened by this electoral process. I think a lot of people are still aggrieved by how the process went, especially with some of the eyewitness report that actually came out, and then the hate way that the campaigns were actually done.
So far, both candidates of the People's Democratic Party and Labour Party in different press conferences have announced their decision to exercise their constitutional right to pursue the case to a logical conclusion at the Supreme Court. Sagir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And we are now joined in the studio by Jamil Mohammed. He is an analyst as well as an author. Welcome to the program, Jamil.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you have seen the comments, but I'm getting agitated with the words being used, especially by the candidates and their supporters. For instance, you know, Atiku, he said the judgment was bereft of substantial justice. You know, we had a guest here, an obedient earlier, who, you know, he called out the justice. What is your take on this? The attitude of some Nigerians and even interested parties to the rebel justices?
I think what we have to understand is that there's a difference between what is point of law and point of interest.
Okay.
Yes. What the justices of the presidential petition tribunal did was, I think they delivered their judgments on points of law.
Yeah.
You see, it is one thing that something happened, and it is another trying to prove it by law in the court.
And he who alleges
must prove.
Yeah.
Okay. In this instance, if you say there were a lot of irregularities, the first thing is, are these irregularities enough to nullify an election? That is one. You see, even the court was asking if Atiku, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, were they able to prove that they got those valid votes required to be president of Nigeria? Forget about trying to pull down the votes of President Tinubu.
Yeah.
That's entirely a different thing.
Their own. Have they gotten the required?
If you pull down the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
yes,
have you proven that you have scored the legal majority votes required to be the president of the Federal Republic?
Have you satisfied the requirement?
Have you satisfied that requirement? That was a question mark on them. I think people fail to understand that kind of
technicality.
The technicality of this. You can argue that Tinubu did not get the majority lawful votes. Okay, if he didn't get it.
Okay, you got it.
Did you get it? If you didn't get it, then what are you asking the court to do?
Maybe fresh election. Maybe.
Fresh election, which was not what they were asking. I
asked my guest that left that, okay, assuming the tribunal yesterday said Tinubu did not have it, it is Atiku. I said, what will you do? I asked him. He said they will still go to court.
Because as far as they are concerned, it's not the issue of point of law, it's not the issue of what actually happened, it's the issue of Peter Obi must be the president. I think that is the mindset. It's like a sense of
feeling of entitlement.
That is it. You see, in your report you presented now, somebody was even saying, okay, you can now put together the votes of Peter Obi and the votes of Atiku Abubakar together, and then they will now outdo the votes of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But some people from the other end are arguing that the actual thing is the votes of Atiku and votes of Bola Ahmed Tinubu were supposed to be one block votes against that of Peter Obi, which means
how could that be?
Which means they said those massive votes of Atiku, if Atiku was not there,
yes,
these votes would have gone to Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
They will not go to Peter Obi.
They will not go to Peter
Why?
Obi.
Why do you think people think?
I'm only giving you the scenario that the argument that other person gave, another person has a different argument.
Yes, everyone is looking at it from a
different perspective. But since we have a constitution,
yes,
and we have our courts of law, we have the judiciary. This is where we all recourse to. Now, judgments have been delivered. I think if you are going to argue, don't argue that why the justices, have they not seen the kind of carnage that happened, blah, blah. That's not the argument. If that happened, have your lawyers been able to present those evidences that it happened? One of the issues the courts decided was that, okay, you brought a lot of irregularities from certain polling units. In one instance, 18,088 polling units. In another instance, is another 15,000 and something polling units. But you fail to show the court that this particular result is from this polling unit.
You only maybe put few goes together.
You put everything together that look at this result. This is what is wrong on the result. This is what is. But how you want the court to go and do your job for you, tying every single result to a certain polling unit, which is not what the court should do. You are supposed to. I am surprised that they didn't bring their witnesses. For every single result you fault,
You have to prove.
You have to prove. You have to bring a witness. You see, there is this Evidence Act. That's why even when the court was deciding the issue of the European Union report, it said, yes, the report is there, the report is authentic, but the report lacks evidential value.
And you can't just put figures.
Of course, and the court, somebody who commissioned that report and who is the custodian of that report must be the one to come with the report, submit it to the court, and then that person would still be cross-examined.
Not a third party relying
on that.
Why do you think the judgment took over 12 hours? The first in Nigeria's history, right?
Yes, there were 3 different cases. That of Peter Obi and Labour Party, that of
APM,
and then that of Atiku Abubakar and the PDP. So what actually happened was the court consolidated the 3 cases. Instead of dealing with the cases separately.
Maybe today, maybe this case, tomorrow this case. Yeah.
So they consolidated. I think it's part of the rules of the court. It happens when you have cases with similar appearances. You consolidate and then collapse all the items into one single
for easy
case,
dealing with.
for easy dealing with. So because there are 3 cases, I think that was why you see the judges, each one was taking a different aspect and was reading it.
Exactly.
So I think that was what actually happened.
Even though we are not here to judge them or to fault their submissions, but in your estimation, how do you feel with the judgment? Some of the issues they raise.
Yes, I am very much satisfied with the judgments, with the items presented from the points of law, from what I have understood from the points of law. I only, out of about, I think, about 11 items presented, I think I only have issues with 2 items.
Which and which?
Now, these 2 items, it's not even from the judgment.
Okay.
It's from the law itself.
Okay.
If that is the law, I think we still need to
refine it.
Refine that law. One is that of saying locus standi. When APC challenged the membership of Peter Obi,
yes,
the court says you do not have the locus standi to challenge the belonging of or the membership of Peter Obi to LP because you are not a member of the LP.
Yeah.
And the same thing about the candidature of Vice President Kashi
by APM, yeah.
Yes, they said you don't have the locus standi. One of the 3 items about his candidature was that, one, they said it should have gone to the this thing.
Senate?
No, it should have gone to the High Court.
Yeah.
1. 2, that APM did not have the locus standi.
Yeah. In fact, they were described as meddlesome interlopers.
Yes, exactly.
But is that not true? Why should you come to my house?
That is where I'm
having issues with my wife.
That is where I have a problem.
I'm having issues with my wife. Why should you come, Jamil?
I should come. Yes.
Why?
Okay.
You are my neighbor. You just scale the fence and start making noise.
Yes, there is a law that says in your own house, do A, B, C, D according to the laws you have met for your house.
Yes.
And in my own house, I should also do A, B, C, D according to the law I have met for my house.
Yes.
We are separate, right? But there is an umpire that has been appointed and said, look, make sure Hamza Idris goes through his law step by step. He should not miss anything.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And go through Jamil's procedures
to
make sure that his procedures are not against the law he made for himself.
Yes.
And then now stand in between. If Hamza Idris comes up, Jamil comes up, make sure each one comes clean before they come in contest.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, why is the umpire there looking at supervising your own law and then supervising my own law. And then we are coming to compete based on the fact that you came from the background of your own law and I came from the background of my law, and then we are competing together where the umpire is putting an eye on us.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So it means now I should have a fair competitor. I shouldn't have somebody who came unfairly from his own side.
So if you have your way, Jamilu, what will you like
there shouldn't be an interloper once there is a contest between me and you. I shouldn't be an interloper. I should be concerned about how you came up. Even from the moral point of view, how the way you came. If you came fraudulently and then you came, we are contesting, and you are still coming to rule my country, Nigeria, and you came fraudulently through your own law, how would I accept that?
Okay, now what is your take?
It's very unfair.
Yes, what is your take on transmission of results? You know, they said INEC has its own, this in the Electoral Act, spoke about beavers, right?
Yes.
But it was INEC guidelines that, you know, said that
what
we are
the
going
court
to transmit.
Said, what the court said is Section 47 of the Electoral Act says that the presiding officer can use the card reader and any other method.
Yeah.
So that undermines the actual technology that we thought would have been used there. As far as I'm concerned, from the point of law, I don't think the judgment was wrong.
You know, Atiku said that they thought the introduction of technology will also help INEC
Let me tell you where we got it wrong.
Yeah.
I was part of, I worked with a senator.
Okay.
When they were drafting this thing.
Okay.
At the end, when they finished everything and then Mr. President had assented to it, when we sat down to look at it again, my senator was flabbergasted.
Wow.
He was annoyed.
Okay.
He said, how did they remove this?
What did they remove?
The technological part of it was actually not, that was not what we were told. Actually, what people thought was the beavers machine. The court, this judgment, this particular judgment, defined the beavers machine as nothing other than an accreditation machine.
That is the difference. So it's just matter of semantics.
That is just it. So
they can change the name anytime. Maybe for Kogi election, they can call it Beavers any other name.
Well, but even if they change the name, that was what it was meant to do. Accreditation of voters. There was nothing. What the technology at first that was presented before the contract was given was that it was going to be accreditation, voting, and then transmission. But at the end, what the Electoral Act accommodated was only accreditation.
Now they are heading to Supreme Court. Thereafter, maybe Nigeria will settle for business. Are you envisaging some changes in the Electoral Act?
I don't. In the
Electoral Act?
Well, no, we won't have changes in the Electoral Act right now. Possibly
ahead of the president. Or something.
Maybe. I'm envisaging that, and I will still want to ask the present National Assembly to look into that and then incorporate not only accreditation of voters, but also voting itself and possibly transmission of results. Even if you don't incorporate voting, incorporate accreditation and then transmission of the results.
All right.
I think that should work for us.
All right, thank you very much, Jamilu Mohammed. I wish we have more time to dissect some of these highly technical issues, especially going by your background as an engineer. Thank you very much. We hope to have you next time.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. We sincerely hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics Live, airing every weekday, and also our special package on Friday, during which we open our telephone line for you to comment on national issues. Once again, we thank you for watching. Bye-bye. I'm Hamza Idris.